Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to 2CTV with some breaking news. As some of you might have already heard over the last few hours, we've been seeing absolute chaos. The angry British people are rising up against establishment in Southport following the attack, multiple stabbings, of course. Unfortunately, 3 young children, young girls have lost their lives. We have more people in the hospital, so don't be surprised if the numbers of casualties go up. We don't want that, of course, but the situation is very intense, up to a point where, because there are no answers, there are a lot of demands, there are a lot of serious questions being asked by normal, ordinary people, and the establishments are not answering questions. People are angry. I'm going to explain what's going on. We're going to show you all the videos that we have. It's coming in live. All the updates, we're going to show you all the clips that we're getting in as we speak from Southport, and the details that we have. We also have a statement just coming in now from the so-called Home Secretary Yvette Cooper, who believes in refugees are welcome here narrative. But we're going to talk about why this is happening and how the mainstream media are absolutely disgusting, vile creatures. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get your reaction in the live chat as usual as well. I'm going to prepare Yvette Cooper's statement. But first things first, let's talk about media. I'm going to show you the clips. Look at this disgusting narrative. Far-right protesters are now intimidating police officers. Far-right this, far-right that. There's a problem. Being far-right is a very specific type of ideology. You need to have political conviction. You need to know why you are far. It's being angry isn't far-right. Isn't enough to be called far-right. There's an ordinary British people. Now you can condemn the protests and the riots. Fair enough. We are saying that violence is not necessary, but we know why this is happening. We've been warning the establishment for a long time. The British culture don't do this. We are patient. This is the first time they are finally accept it's going to happen. The implosion is going to happen, and it's happened. Because they're not bringing order. If they don't bring order to society, the authorities and the establishment, this was always going to happen. These are not the people who come out every day, every week to protest, to riot, to destroy things like France or other countries. The British people have been patient. So when they are angry, it's understandable. No one's saying it's a good idea or bad idea. Some people support it, some people not support it, saying, well, violence is still bad anyway. We get it. But it's the job of the establishment to prevent it. First things first, let's go to the first video where the media called it far-right. Now, of course, the media narrative will change into from politically motivated to far right, which again is stupid because these people are just normal people who are just angry. It's going to turn into uneducated commoners, uneducated plebs and working classes. Let's just say, for 1 second, yes, these are the working classes. These are the ordinary people. They're not highly educated. Let's just say for 1 second, right? Yet these are the same people for decades and decades and decades, throughout all their lives, have not done this. The same people you're calling yobs and plebs, they're people who are there. You know, they might be in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s. All the years they've been alive on this planet, they've not done anything like this. Now it's happening. So if you're going to call them names because they're uneducated plebs, then that means they should have done this every week, every month, every year. How many terrorist attacks, how many disorders, how many stabbings in our cities, how many muggings, how much lack of disorder has been going on for the past few decades in this country? This so-called uneducated plebs should have been out destroying things left, right and centre. These are angry people. And the establishment could have prevented this. Now, let's continue this. Let's give you guys all the videos that we have, and more is coming in now as well. The whole situation is out of control in Southport, and it's going to get to other places as well. More protests are being organised. Watch this. Now, compare the number of riots and disorders and these sort of things we've seen from different groups compared to the so-called uneducated working class plebs of the English community, right? Compare that. You got one incident here, and it is just the beginning unless the establishment sort out the order and rule of law in this society, because we don't want more chaos. Nobody wants chaos. But they could prevent it. They could stop it by giving answers, by sorting out the problems. They are now saying, of course, that the attacker was a 17-year-old, so they're not going to name the names, right? Now the media are saying that he was born in Cardiff, but to a migrant family, right? So he's technically second generation. The family moved from Rwanda. Now, we don't actually know if they were born in Rwanda. They just say they moved from. Now, it could be from Rwanda. But the family moved from Rwanda. Now, this doesn't really help the narrative of mass migration and multiculturalism is always peaceful and everything's well. Because even second generation is still linked to the first generation. It really depends. Second generation migrants could be in two different categories. Depend on your parents as a first generation and the schooling and your neighborhood. Some second generation migrants, when you had smaller numbers of migration, you can easily control it, can integrate and have good parents. I could talk about myself. My mother, first generation, she integrated. She made sure I integrate, and my sister who was born here. But you also have some first generation migrant families, different values. They can't do it. They don't do it. So the second generation kids are basically first generation, because then they haven't integrated. I'm not saying this person is definitely that. I'm simply saying that firstly, it's not a white English Christian going out there causing chaos in the name of Jesus. No one's doing that. That's not a thing. And if it happens, that's really abnormal. It's not a trend. There's a trend of behavior. Then now they're going out, they first called them far right. Now they're going around saying the members of the EDL. EDL, if you're watching from abroad, that's the English Defence League. It doesn't exist anymore. It's not really a thing anymore. They label you to shut you down. That's what they're doing. Let's go to the next clip.
You need to run, dude. Look at this shit that's created because you didn't deal with it 10 years ago. There you go. Stay back. I haven't told you.
The reason we are having all these problems, as we've been saying, with everything that's been going on for the past few years, especially, firstly, the last few days, last few weeks and months getting worse and worse. One thing to remember, lack of respect for authorities, rule of law, did not come from ordinary people. It's the two-way street. The establishment didn't help. So when you have the migrant communities, some of them, the Islamists, now the white English, and everybody else, basically not respecting authorities, what's the common thing? Oh, the authorities, establishment. Under Keir Starmer, we've now had more riots within days than any other government that we've had in the first few days, few weeks of that government. Not saying it's Starmer's fault directly. Firstly, it's the fault of people like Starmer, those type of politicians. Before he became a prime minister, he was still an MP. And these type of liberal globalist politicians are the reason we're in this mess anyway. And I'm not just talking about mass migration or multiculturalism or Islamism. I'm talking about disorder. I'm talking about the fact that there's a massive disconnect between the establishment and ordinary people. Now that it's all kicking off, they're going to blame the voters, the taxpayers, the uneducated plebs, the common people, working classes. These are the same people, as I said, who have still been patient despite being uneducated, right? As they keep claiming. What's happening now? This was the final thing to create a full house situation. Riots, disorder, and lack of respect for authority, and becoming vigilantes. You had all the different groups already doing it, different migrant groups, in terms of age groups, teenagers. Back in 2011, we had the riots. We had the Islamists who don't like the values of this country. And now you finally have the English also. So all different categories of people in the society are kicking off for different reasons. What's the common thing? The establishment. They still haven't realized why this is happening. In Monopole posted this. More scenes from Southport. Our country is not in a good place. Absolutely right. Spot on. Are they going to understand it? We're gonna. By the way, we just received the statement from Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary. I'm going to put it on the screen in a second. But before we do that, because I want to really know what she said, because she's going to say, she's going to condemn it. She's going to say it's heartbreaking what's going on, right? Let's go to this first. We've been trying to warn them for a long time. A lot of us, I myself, Douglas Murray, many others, about the situation in Western Europe, specifically in this country, especially if you're watching from abroad. The United Kingdom and the British culture has been specifically different to mainland Europe and many other countries. It's been extremely patient, tolerant, and soft and liberal. That includes the white English working classes, the same people that you just saw in this video, who have not actually been kicking off for a long time. A lot of people, including myself, have been saying recently, because there are people who have been asking, everybody's rising up, everybody's voting more right-wing, everybody's protesting in the Netherlands, in the Republic of Ireland, of all places, France, what's going on with the Brits? And I've been saying, the Brits have been patient, but don't expect them to remain quiet and silent forever. When they come out, it will be not necessarily justified that it's the right thing to do in terms of rioting. There will be an obvious explanation. They didn't just come out because, for example, more people are coming on boats. They've been very patient about it. They've been complaining. It's been building up. When you're attacking children, young girls, there's a line, and that line's been crossed. And it's not really just about that individual person who's apparently 17 from a migrant family in Rwanda, right? It's not really just about that person. That person is symbolically representing the wider problem that we have. It goes beyond mass migration and beyond multiculturalism. It's the whole of society. Lack of respect, lack of order, lack of unity. There's no one common culture. I said it earlier. In a lot of towns and cities, people don't even know their neighbors. We are so... They keep calling us, we're still tolerant as a society. Are we actually that tolerant anymore? It's been building up quietly. When the British speak out and rise up, be afraid. Be very afraid. Because they don't do it often. It's not a normal thing that they do. I'll get your reaction in the live chat, by the way. I'm just going to go through all the videos that we have so far. Tommy also posted this. 3 children, of course, obviously lost their lives at this Taylor Swift dance class. Police are managing the situation in order to keep the people quiet, he says. Hundreds of Muslims obviously hit Rochdale police station, because one of them attacked officers and got a kick. Remember? Police didn't intervene. The people of Southport are rightfully angry, and I don't blame them one bit. Before we show this video, there's another thing to remember. A few days ago, we had the situation in Leeds. Absolute chaos in Leeds, remember? Everything is burning, right? What did the emergency services do? The police. They told all the emergency services, including the riot police, to actually stay away from the zone, from the area. They didn't send them there. They just allowed people to do whatever they want because they were afraid for the safety of the emergency services, right? Today, within minutes, before it turned into riots, it was just protest, obviously, at first, they sent out the riot police. Immediately, they sent out the riot police. See the problem with that? I'm not saying that they shouldn't have. I'm simply saying, why didn't they send them immediately to Leeds? They're double standards. And of course, when you send the riot police immediately to a protest with the English working class, and they could provoke each other, it's going to happen. Things are going to happen. Let's go.
Man, they're fucking... everyone's getting smashed in the back of the head, isn't it? They couldn't really bring them coming down here, right? Yeah, of course. There's more than Muslims, Yes, lad! Yes, lad!
We mentioned Leeds and the migrant communities have kicked off, right? I'm just going to semi-repeat myself because I keep talking about the Brits. The people that the media are calling, well, first they call them far right, now they call them EDL, which doesn't exist anymore. And now they're going to call them the uneducated working class plebs, right? Idiots. Compare them. That the scenes you were seeing. Compare them to the French. With all the respect to the French, I know we've got French viewers watching, but you know what I'm talking about. The section of society in cities in France who kick off, the far left, right? The protesters, the rioters, everything. Whatever happens, on a Tuesday, they come out, burn cars. How many times have you seen the English working class do this in recent years? Despite everything that's been going on, small boats crisis, more terrorist attacks, stabbings, muggings, grooming gangs, left, right and centre, lack of order. They're doing this. Nobody's saying this is a beautiful thing, but people are saying we get it. The issue is, it's not about you guys watching this saying, yes, we understand why this is happening. We get it, we get that anger. No. It's the establishment. It's their job to get it. It's the job of Keir Starmer to get it as Prime Minister. It's the job of Yvette Cooper to get it as Home Secretary. It's the job of the Tory party, the opposition party, to also get it, and the rest of the House of Commons to get it. Why? I can assure you, even your beloved Reform UK, and I've been supportive of them when they do the right things, say the right things, you know, I might have voted for them. Irrelevant. They're the ones who also came out to boycott and condemn and cancel us on Saturday, that when we had the rally, because we are the yobs, we are the uneducated far-right working classes. Do you really think they're going to, if they come out to defend this, which they're not going to do it, well, not defend in terms of the violence, no one's going to defend violence, that would be stupid, but I understand the anger. That would be weird. We had a peaceful rally with controversial people, right? So Reform UK could not support it. If they come out to say we get the anger, that's enough support to the rioters, right? So that's already a problem. It's a lose-lose right now for Reform UK. If they come out to also condemn them, well, you can condemn the violence because the violence is bad, we get it. But if they still try to disassociate themselves with the anger, with why the anger is happening, they're as bad as the rest of House of Commons. Let's see what happens tomorrow with Reform UK. I don't want to target them directly because, you know, it's still good enough that at least we got Reform UK MPs rather than just Tory and Labour, but it's not a perfect situation. Antifa Public Watch also posted this. Southport locals have finally had enough. Let's watch this, then we're going to go to Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, to see what she has to say. Surprised? I'm not. Let's see. Statement from the Home Secretary. This morning, when I visited Southport, I saw a grieving community pulling together to support each other and care for the families who have lost their loved ones in the face of an unspeakable tragedy. I met police officers and emergency service workers who showed incredible bravery in response to yesterday's attack and are leading an urgent and serious criminal investigation with the support of the community behind them. These disgraceful scenes of violence and disorder we are witnessing this evening with attacks on the Merseyside police and the local mosque are completely appalling. Those responsible will face the full force of law. The community of Southport are reeling from a horrifying ordeal and families are grieving. This violent thuggery, which has overshadowed the peaceful vigil for 3 little girls, is an insult to the community and to all those who need the space to proceed what has happened and to heal, according to the Home Secretary. It is appalling, actually, that the local police, who have already dealt with extraordinarily difficult circumstances this week and are undertaking an urgent criminal investigation, she's just repeating herself again, should be on the receiving end of the violence and abuse. Our focus must remain on supporting the police in the urgent criminal investigation. You get the rest, right? Okay. Objectively speaking, logically speaking, if you are Home Secretary, there's nothing specifically wrong with the statement overall. If you talk about it's her right as Home Secretary to defend the police, obviously it's right. She's right on that. The Home Secretary is not just in charge of the police. She's also the Home Secretary. She's also in charge and responsible for the rest of us as well, the rest of society. The police are her representatives to keep order. In that statement, it would have been nice for her to also include that, at least to a point, she understands why this is happening. Of course, politicians are never going to do that, because it will be very difficult to have a meeting about how to phrase that question, that sentence or that paragraph. Say, well, how do we state this without coming across as supporting the rioters? We get it. Violence is bad. Nobody's saying violence is good. But you have to say, we get it that we could blame the previous government. That'll be easy. Blame the Tories. Say, yeah, for a long time the Tory establishment have not listened to the people, and this is the end result. Say that. That will be good enough. That at least that means you're kind of saying this was unexpected. The British people don't do this. Our political leaders should speak like that. If Winston Churchill were alive today, he would have said, I'm a bit surprised that the British public are now out there rioting. What is happening? We need an investigation about that as well. She kept repeating about the investigation into the actual crime. We get it. That's the job of your police. But as, of course, the political leaders of this country, Keir Starmer, who's supposed to be the father of the country, right? That's what they say about prime ministers these days, apparently. You're also supposed to be speaking on behalf of the people. Just say, I'm a little bit surprised that the English working class are doing this. Let's find out why. At least understand it. While you can condemn the violence, of course. That makes sense. Anyway, now we can get your reaction. Before that, Lawrence Vauxhall also posted this. We're about to witness the long overdue correction to the approved narrative. Watch this.
Yeah.
Let's see what you guys are saying in the live chat. First one, Todd Terrence, thank you, saying, it's about time Islam got exposed to all politicians and some people of the public who keep defending Islam. The ideology, he says specifically, and the Quran. B4 says, what's your opinion on the Bath instance? So actually, there's a few things we're going to talk about tomorrow as well, because as we speak, actually, we have to talk about Southend as well, because in case you don't know, there was a machete fight in Southend. In Bath, two people have been taken to hospital after a woman would obviously approach them with a bag, obviously in terms of substance, some sort of toxic substance. We're going to talk about all that tomorrow as well, because it seems like there's a trend of chaos. Southend, Bath, Leeds, now of course Southport. It's not good. But of course, we will talk about all that as well as we continue. Andy says, Humza Useless said on X that the rioters don't care for the murderers. And it's just the right exploiting it. Please get on there and press the button and cancel him. He's an idiot. He doesn't get it. Of course he doesn't get it. They think when we are saying we get why this chaos is happening, they think we're saying we need more violence, we need more division. We don't want more violence and more division. We simply want the establishment to know why it's happening and find a way to bring back order. It's their job to bring order so people don't become vigilantes. Can you blame people for becoming vigilantes right now? Do you blame us or the establishment who didn't do their job? Thank you for your super chat, undisclosed JS. Also Devon Lilly saying, I am 55. Babies have died because of diversity. I am angry and heartbroken. Screw ideology. Natasha. Night Building Man may have been at the vigil. And also Rigby's memorial was targeted the other day. Yep. That's why they're headed to the mosque apparently. Thanks for that, by the way. Today is the funeral of a 12-year-old boy from Coventry, ASA says, killed by a migrant. No charges, obviously, as the scumbag has probably fled back to Latvia. This is happening countrywide. Nick says, why do they use education as a way to put people down? It doesn't mean unknowledgeable. For some people, education just isn't priority in life. Exactly. I mean, they got these champagne socialist middle class liberal idiots, cosmopolitans who basically want to be in the establishment. When they call you uneducated, they simply mean you don't have a university degree. It's 21st century. You don't need to have a university degree to be educated. Also, academic education does not mean you're a wise person or have street smart. It's very different. You can be a very smart, intelligent person without being bookworm. Chris, I hope it would not come to this, Maya, but I agree. And Patrick says the police could calm the situation by stating that the knife man is not a Muslim. That would help, right? Why might they not have done that? To be fair, there's so many issues with this. There's so many reasons for this. That's a common sense approach. So Patrick is speaking on behalf of the establishment. So all of them, the Home Secretary, the police, even the Prime Minister, meetings, all the meetings they've been having, right? They've been having a lot of meetings. Control the narrative, do the investigation, blah, blah, blah. Patrick's response is common sense, which doesn't work in the establishment, especially when it comes to British government, because of bureaucracy. You do realize, if any of them mentioned that, it will be a rogue idea. Even, let's just say, Yvette Cooper as Home Secretary sat there, said, can we just say, at least it's non-Islamist? It might help. I can assure you, there will be the heads of the police, some of the lawyers, PR officers, the rest of Downings would say, yeah, we can't do that. That's very complicated. A lot of ideas will get shut down. Common sense would have said, just say, if it's non-Islamic, just say it's non-Islamic. At least it will calm things down. Nope. They can't even do that because they're actually restricted by civil service and everybody else. Unless he is. That's also the other thing, by the way. But we don't know. We don't know. I saw that there were protesters in support of the migrants. Is this true? Yeah. All the time. And are two groups clashing? No, not in this instance. Or is this all British citizens fed up? Now, this instance is just the British people, the English working classes, who completely kicked off. When they were protesting, the police decided to send the riot police, and then complete mess happened, and now they can't control the whole situation. It's not a good situation. Mike says we have reached a watershed in British politics as the establishment has ignored the people for too long. The Muslims have been encouraged by the lack of effective policing and think they have the upper hand. There's so many good points here as well. And it says the mainstream media used to mock the EDL's low numbers. They can't. That's also a very interesting point. Well, firstly, EDL doesn't exist, but they call them EDL. They used to say it's just 5-6 people. If you're going to call them EDL, you're literally paying a compliment to EDL. It's so weird, the main media. Thank you, super chat from Israel and Natasha again as well. I'm just going to finish the super chats quickly. The political virtue signaling at the flowers made me sick. Oh, yeah, Starman as well. And the heckling being censored on ITV was evil. God, in case you don't know what Natasha's talking about, we sort of showed it earlier. Keir Starmer went there with flowers. He got heckled. The media didn't include that part. If Rishi Sunak, former Prime Minister, was being heckled, I can assure you, the media would have showed that. I can assure you. Devon says, I am done with reform. They're all liars. Benji, I am pissed off. People, kids, need to be safe. Yep. Neil Boot Studio, thank you for your support. And I say again, saying Islam, the only people in the world that chant God is great while they commit murder. Deborah says, support the police, save the NHS. What next? Bubba's 1649, Charles III equals Charles I. That's controversial. RG says, conflicted. On one hand, happy that Shuk has been confirmed dead. Yes, obviously we've been talking about this. In Lebanon, I believe that number 2 of Hezbollah has now been taken out. Forward Shuk has been confirmed. On the other hand, the tragic news from England. Like Israelis, you need to grow eyes on your backs when Islam walks among you. Mimi says that the lion is waking. And Mark says the so-called educated people need to live in the real world. That is a very good point. UK Man says, go and have a pint when you're finished. We appreciate you, Maya. Thank you very much, UK Man. I can't really at this point. Barry says, Maya, 2-tier policing, immigrants attacking, robbing, waking. Ministers favoring minority groups. What did they expect will happen? Yep. Just think of Rochdale, then you know what they are capable of. Where were the riots when there were grooming gangs happening? Well, grooming gangs still happening. We know what I mean. When it was exposed, which is what it says. I have a feeling that this is but the start of something the establishment can't control. I feel very worried for my children. Thank you for everything. I actually agree. We don't want this, but you know what? At least we acknowledge why this is happening. Now, when we say this, the liberals and media are going to say 2CTV is encouraging it. I'm not encouraging, I'm simply saying we get it, but we know why this is happening, and we're actually worried it could get worse. But we've been warning about this for a long time. Anyway, let's end this for now because it's just going to get crazier. Thank you so much for everybody who joined us and, of course, supported us as well. This video is, of course, demonetized, as you probably already can guess. And Diana, also, thank you for your super chat from America. Parents have to protect their children. Enough is enough. Do what you must do. If the king and queen think they are safe, matter of time before they come for you as well. Thank you very much for that. Just one more as well. And again, from America, Pineapple Water says, his name says it all. Islam is the indoctrination of the caliphate of hate, which is a mental illness. On that note, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.